bagay.
Can we just bow our heads? Eternal and most gracious Father, as we come before you today, we want to thank you for another day of life. We want to thank you for health. We want to thank you for strength. Oh Lord, we want to thank you for bringing us here today at this press conference, oh Lord. Oh Lord, we ask that you take full control of this press conference, and whatever is done will be done unto your honor and glory. Oh Lord, we ask you to take control of this country. Touch those who are grieving. Touch those who are mourning, oh Lord. Oh Lord, this is a trying time for the country, and we ask that you intervene and you provide that strength, O Lord, that we can continue, O Lord. O Lord, continue to be our guide. Continue to be the motivator. Continue to keep this country resilient, and we can overcome the situation. O Lord, take full control of this country, in which we ask in your most precious name. I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. You may have your seats. I want to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Minister for National Security, the Chief of Police, the Deputy Chief who will join us shortly, all the officers of rank who have joined us today, thank you very much, the Senior Administrative Officer acting, the press, the members of the press who have joined us on such short notice, we want to thank you as always. And the press conference this morning is to give an update on the missing 16-year-old Miss Jerbiah Paul. And we do ask the press to be mindful. This is an ongoing investigation, and so there's a lot that we cannot say, but we will say as much as we can. This is also the usual practice of the Ministry of National Security to give updates on important matters that affect the nation. Before I go any further, I will call on the Honorable Minister to kind of set the tone and give us some opening remarks. So, Honorable Minister, please come up.
Thank you very much, Permanent Secretary, Ms. Commodore, Chief of Police, Deputy Chief of Police, the head of the Criminal Investigation Department. I just noticed the Fire Chief walking in, other officers, members of the media fraternity, those of you listening, good morning. Good morning. The circumstance that has brought us here this morning to call the press conference is not the most
I will now call on the Chief of Police to give some remarks, and we will revert to the Honorable Minister.
It's not the most pleasant one, but as you heard from the Permanent Secretary, it is indeed a mantra of the Ministry of National Security and Legal Affairs to give usual updates. Now, I want to just take time out here this morning to commend the Chief of Police and his team. Let's put our hands together.
I now call on the Chief of Police to give a brief report on the matter.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chief.
The Honorable Minister of National Security, Reuben Blackmore, PS in the Ministry, Ms. Commodore, Mr. Geoffrey James, Deputy Chief of Police, the Fire Chief, Mr. Later, the co-investigator in this matter, Inspector Chaucer James, other gazetted officers and rank and file of the police force, the media, the listening public, again, good morning. As indicated by the PS, this press conference has been called to give you update on the missing 16-year-old child, Jerbiah Paul of Glanville, Portsmouth. The circumstances surrounding this matter is deeply saddening. we recognize the profound and emotional impact it has caused the family and the nation. It's deeply saddening and somehow even a vexing matter for me. As a father myself and a police officer, I'm heartbroken at the loss of such a young life. And my thoughts are with the family of Jerbiah Paul and the whole community of Portsmouth in this difficult and trying time. We will seek this morning to give you some information without disclosing too much, as not to interfere and undermine this ongoing investigation. On the 25th of July, at about 10:35 p.m. of this year, Jerbiah Paul was reported missing by a mother to the Portsmouth police station. Officers responded to the report and began an investigation swiftly. You would have heard Mr. Maximin about a week ago address the issue as to what we did at the time. In response to the report, we conducted several searches in the Portsmouth area, Benz, and many other areas in the north of the island, hoping to find the missing child. All these searches proved futile. Again, the searches were conducted with the assistance of the fire service, members of the community, and members of the immediate family of the missing young girl, Jerbiah Paul. We interviewed several people and recorded several statements from witnesses or could be witnesses in this matter. As the days progressed, we upgraded the investigations, as it were, by assigning the Deputy Chief of Police as the chief investigator in this matter, assisted ably so by Chaucer James as the co-investigator, Inspector James as the co-investigator. As I indicated, we have interviewed many people during the course of the investigations and have many statements recorded. On Tuesday, the 10th of August, we had new developments in the case. That is, I should say, intel-led information. And we conducted a search in an area of Capuchin, along with the fire and ambulance services, an area referred to as Cana in Capuchin. That search was conducted sometime in the afternoon. However, due to poor light, the search was suspended and continued the following day, the 11th of August, 2026. Again, we deployed very early, leaving headquarters about 6 o'clock in the morning, because we were intent on doing a very thorough search to find the missing child. Again, we were convinced that our search would have led to something. Sometime later that same day, that is the 11th of August, while conducting the search in a precipice in the Cana area, a remote area, with the assistance of the fire and ambulance services, we discovered human remains. Without giving more details about the remains, we are convinced that the remains are that of the missing 16-year-old Jerbiah Paul of Glanville, Portsmouth. Again, based on our investigation, we surmise, and I think correctly so, that this remains that was found is that of the missing 16-year-old child. In furtherance of the investigations, On the 12th of August, that is last night, after 10 minutes to 11, I can report that one of our very own, police officer, Constable Jean-Luc Langlais of Portsmouth, was charged with the offense of murder. This morning, that is on the 13th of August 2026, he was taken before a magistrate's court. The charge was read to him, and he has been remanded at the state prison pending the trial. During the course of the investigations, over a period from the 24th or 25th of August of July up to today, we've been assisted by several partners, both locally, regionally, and internationally. The minister, I'll hold back on that so the minister can inform if he's able to. If not, I'll come back to give a little more detail on our partners. The force as a whole has made great strides over the years to become a professional organization in line with its motto, to serve and to protect. I can assure you that is members of the public and the citizens of Dominica, I will continue to perform our duties with a high sense of professionalism and efficiency. To the family of Jerbiah Paul, I extend sincere condolences, and also to the entire community of Portsmouth. And I assure you, that we'll do everything in our power to ensure that justice is done. We will leave no stone unturned, not one stone. Not one stone. And in the days coming, you will hear much more from us. Much more from us. Because as I indicated before, this is an ongoing investigation. And anybody who had any hand, anything to do with the disappearance and murder of this young child will face the full brunt of the law. We'll spare no effort whatsoever. That's why, again, we upgraded the investigations to a very senior officer, the Deputy Chief of Police and head of the CID, Justice James. So no effort will be spared. No resources will be spared to ensure justice is done in this matter. Again, just want to take the opportunity to thank, I say, some of our partners. And I know we've not been saying much on the matter, and for obvious reasons. We've been following social media, a lot have been said, that we appear to be quiet, but we were not quiet. We were doing our work behind the scenes to prevent us from missing the point. So we're working all along, behind the scenes. So even when it was reported that an officer was in custody, he was actually in custody about 2 days prior to the press finding out. 2 days, almost 3 days before the press found out. Because it's not in our practice to just go and talk. And those of us who know, our grandmothers tell you not all talk that good to talk. Because you can cause more harm sometimes than good. Much more harm. And at the end of the day, we need to ensure that justice is done and that nothing compromises investigations in this matter. Nothing whatsoever. So some of our partners that we work with, again, I said the minister may reiterate more, the RSS. I wouldn't say how many officers were here and what we intend to do later on, the RSS, the U.S. Embassy of the Barbados, the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, the French Embassy, our local third country riders, Jordan and Guadeloupe Police, Central Church Police Force, and again locally, the Dominican Fire Ambulance Services. In closing, I just must thank the Deputy Chief of Police, Mr. James, for his hard work. And when he gets an opportunity to speak, he'll tell you, without again not disclosing too much, that it was in fact a collective effort of the force. Even if it was one of us, we spared no effort to ensure that the truth, the whole truth, will be revealed. And as I said before, no stone, nothing will be left to ensure that we get to the bottom of the matter fully. And again, just to reiterate, in the coming days, you will hear much, much more from us. Because we have a duty, we have an obligation to the community, to the state, to serve, protect, and to provide a service where people can be assured that when the police is called, they can be relied upon. They can be trusted. And we'll do everything, as I said, and I as the chief, and for those who know me well, we'll do everything to ensure that this matter is thoroughly investigated, and whoever, I said again, whoever have a hand, a finger, a toe in this matter will not be left untouched. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. I will now call on the Deputy Chief of Police. Oh, sorry. The Minister wants a few words.
My apologies to the media again and the hearing. As I said before, and I do not want the police force, members of the police force, to bow their heads in the sand. And I got a number of messages. My phone has been flooded by the media. And some of the transmissions, as if the entire police force is painted with a brush of tar. For me, I think we should highlight the seriousness and the professional behavior of the police force to at least pursue that investigation with the highest degree of gravitas, irrespective as to whether the people of interest, I use the word people of interest because there are more people who have been pursued and will be pursued. I want to place on the record that demonstrates a sense of seriousness by the police and a clear message of intent that irrespective as to who you are, if we are found wanting, especially committing any acts that are actually barbaric in nature, diabolical in nature, that you'll be pursued. So I think that is the perspective, therefore, and the slant I want to give to that story. And I call on the public, therefore, to continue to have a confidence and a trust in the police. Continue to embrace the police, as we have just a couple of weeks ago appointed a new consultant for community policing to give more focus on the whole issue of community policing from a national perspective. That trust has to be preserved for the better of society. I want to also say, added to what the Commissioner of Police said, that a number of people have been calling on the Minister, even the Prime Minister, to issue statements. I did make a statement which generated a lot of discourse. As I've said before, let me reiterate for emphasis, that every missing person report or case is peculiar, and therefore the circumstances of that case will inform the investigation and the method of the investigation. From the offset, the Ministry of National Security has been very much involved in that matter. So is the Prime Minister, who immediately gave clearances, when the ministry wanted to make requests for expert and specialized assistance. Now, as the Minister for National Security, and irrespective as to who the whole of the position is, it's not a nice job. It is not a nice job. But somebody or some people have to do it. Isn't that so? Now, what is important, therefore, amidst all the misplaced, unhinged, and in some cases, bogus media narrative, is important when important cases like that are being pursued for the police and the minister to sign off those narratives from the media. It is always marinated with Beth. I'm not the minister for Beth. I'm the minister for national security and legal affairs. I'm from Mao, I like Beth, but you have to be serious when the circumstances call for that. While all this hoopla was going on, the police have been working very hard. The ministry and PS, I want to thank you for your support. And we immediately made a request to the regional security system, thank you to the executive director, for expert and specialized help within less than 24 hours, Chief. Those experts were on island. While people in the media asking for scary and Blackmore to send for experts to analyze whatever to analyze. You see, when you're governing, you have to be serious. I like music, I like to dance. But there are times when you have to be serious. It's a great issue of a missing child, a minor. And I question the emotional intelligence of a number of us. I'm very interested in the welfare of people who go missing or when something happens, or we are fascinated and inspired by sensation. That's a question you have to ask yourself. I'm a father. I have two daughters. And let me tell you, I don't want to talk about it. Right? And the fact of the matter is, and I was briefed on a daily basis, sometimes, Chief, twice per day, and I want to take this opportunity to express on behalf of the government of this country, the people of this country, in the most profound manner, my appreciation for all the law enforcement officials overseas. Immediately after that thing happened, the French government issued an inquiry for a missing child in the departments of Guadeloupe and Madrid. The ambassador who was in Europe, not in St. Lucia, was calling me almost on an hourly basis. This case was peculiar because we knew that whoever could have been involved in the missing, in this matter, or the disappearance of this innocent child, they were monitoring every movement of the police, and they had intimate knowledge of the operation of the police. To the extent to which some, not apparently close or within the ecosystem of the people of interest, I use the word people of interest, were constructing fake social media accounts. But I'm on it, you know. Snapchat. purporting to show that the missing child was communicating with them from Guadeloupe. You understand what I'm saying? When I made a statement a couple weeks ago, somebody told me I had it there, and all the investigators calling this program and blowing their band. I was the former Minister for Public Works. When you're doing that road from Rose Street to Bath Road, I was on a program and for us telling me a big man like you went to university before the spirit who can go there. So I knew then that Dominica has the most civil engineers, structural engineers, and now Dominica has the most investigators and specialists, including forensic experts. Allow the police to do their work. And as I said, this painstaking approach which I saw, I cannot get into the granular details, speaks to people who are committed to humanity, and I want to especially call out, up to last night we met, the Executive Director of RSS, Mr. Waterman. I have to consult with the Prime Minister who deserves a Dominican passport, the police advisor, and the analyst. I'm not calling her name. She should be here today, late in the afternoon again. But I want to really express my gratitude. I cannot believe they have not been to Dominica. And the commitment and the time, minutes, seconds, minutes, hours, they put into that. I want to especially express the gratitude of the government to Jim Dempsey. He's a senior investigative advisor. I'm not going to actually qualify his office, except to say that he's based in Bridgetown, Barbados. Gavin Compton is a forensic investigator based in Barbados. And the real guy who has not been to Dominica, but he didn't come to Dominica, all the way in Alabama, a special agent from the FBI. And so I want to say to you guys, thank you very much. And I think, yeah, Jay Burney is a special agent. He's an analyst and who is very, very skilled. And we knew that that investigation, because by virtue of nature, was one that had to be done by precision and guided by intelligence. And that intelligence, as you heard from the Chief of Police, was able to monitor every movement of the suspect and brought us to the location. Now, we do not want to say much because the matter has to be ventilated before the court, the due process, etc. But that is the kind of hard work while people are all there calling scared, but I don't like scared them. Scared. And then black man. I myself don't want anyone to like me. So it's, to me, it's in my interest if you don't like me. I don't, honestly, I don't care about that. Once my son not like me, my brothers and I don't care. So that's the seriousness of the matter. When I was the first one the Chief of Police called, and the eventuality, for matter of fact, I did say to the police, expect that. All right? As a former investigator myself. But it is beyond my comprehension, honestly. And I could not believe, but what was comforting for me, at least, there was some element of closure, presumably. Because I say presumably, although based on what the police have seen, and the location, and all the other circumstances, they have reason to believe that is the poor missing child. What we have done as a responsible government, we have immediately requested the assistance of a forensic pathologist from Canada. I've instructed the peers to proceed with the administrative arrangement. The clearance has been given. As I've said, the Prime Minister has been very focused on this matter, and the Minister has been briefing him. It's a very fluid matter, and we have to also recognize the Prime Minister's role. And I'm happy to report that this forensic expert, despite his busy schedule, will be in Dominica early next week. Because this matter has to be dealt with without compromising due process in a timely fashion. And let me warn, I don't know, I'm not sure how long I'm going to be as a Minister of National Security, but let me warn them fellas there, and women and men alike, whoever you are, who believe that you're going to get away because you can engage in the commission of crime with sophistication. Those days are behind us. That we'll collaborate and cooperate and to get the best talent in the world to investigate crimes, especially serious crimes. I also want to place on the record, and as I said, we must not underestimate the talent within the police force in Dominica. You see them sitting on the head table, Structure James, both James, the deputy, all the folks within the CID. Yankee was starting the investigation in Portsmouth. That's why I instructed the Commissioner of Police from day one why people are stuck into it. Mobilize the major crime unit and assign your best investigators to investigate that matter and to ensure that that matter can be solved. And all those who are responsible can be brought to justice. All capital letters. As I end, let me express my deepest sympathies, that of the government, and my family too, to the family and friends and loved ones of this Paul, the entire Portsmouth community. But I want to say something before I end. I'm sorry I look this morning. I never thought I was going to do that, but I guess it's life. Your government has, over the years, strengthened our legal regimes. We passed and expanded, which I shared that committee with the help of Mr. Riaris and the Aegis Chambers, to expand the offenses within the Sexual Offences Act, 1046. And if you were to just refer to 1046, chapter 1046, and you take from section 29 to 41B, you get an impression how serious this piece of legislation I just make reference to. Guardians, parents, those with temporary care and control of a minor, teachers, doctors, pastors, whoever you are obligated by law. The law says, shall report any suspected act of abuse, most sexual abuse, to the police. Isn't that so? Shall. Chief of Police. And the DPP do not have to wait for the minister to say anything. For anybody who says not me as the minister, to hold those people to account and take them before the court, because they are the ones allowing the continuation of that abuse of minor. When you sexually abuse a young child, a boy or girl, that child's life is destroyed forever. My have always said to me, and she laughed, you always look for everything, but you're always early to drop your children to school and pick them up. Because I always said to myself, I was praying. Yeah, I was not. Now, secondly, it's an offense to obstruct prosecution. For matter of fact, a mother or guardian by law under the Sexual Offences Act, 41, Section 41, you can read it for yourself. You cannot prevent a child from testifying. You can go to jail for 5 years and fined. There's a case, as we speak, where a child allegedly was molested by a male fetus. A suspected and viol. And the mother is taking her hands and writing to the DPP saying that she doesn't want the child to testify. Now, if she proceeds to prevent the child from testifying, that's an offense under the law. All those things this administration has done, to broaden our laws and to broaden the offenses to ensure those who violate, especially our minors, there is no loophole in the law for exit. So, don't blame the Prime Minister or the Minister or the Attorney General. Do we have to go and knock on people's door? Do you have any child that has been molested or abused in your house? My last point on that. We have gotten to that predicament, by the young lady, because of the failure of those who morally and legally were responsible for the safeguard, guidance, and protection of that child. A minor is a minor. We address the symptoms and we do not address the root causes. Now, irrespective as to whether a young child was wayward, as we say, she is a human being. Isn't that so? The question is, why was that young child wayward? I'll stop now. I have to speak. Why was the child wayward? Socialization at the home, the neighbors, you have a role to play. And as I end, let me just say that the police has a responsibility if there's any suspicion that there's any abuse taking place in any home to enter the house without a warrant. So when a child is not of age of majority and to know of relationships with adults, etc., I think it's on us to report it to the social services and to report it to the police. I felt that I should have said that this morning because we have to ensure that there is not a repeat of that situation. And there may be many stories in various communities like that where we say that somebody is wayward and we're not looking at the actual root cause. It takes a village to reach a child. Let us embrace each other. And let us ensure, as Tasha P says in song, let the children be children. Teach them to pray, my dear friends. God bless this beautiful country. And the Dominican Police Force is the best organization I've worked in my life. I have the highest regard for that profession as an investigator, as somebody who was also attached to internal affairs, and also serve on the Welfare Association. I know that those who have raised their hands to serve mean it. Let us not be ashamed because of this moment. It's just a moment in the journey of serving your country. And I wish you well. And I have the highest regard for the Commonwealth Dominican Police Force. May the Lord bless the Commonwealth Dominican Police Service. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I will now call on the Deputy Chief of Police to give a brief report.
Good morning, one and all. I'm going to be extremely brief in these circumstances. Let me let me say that I am sympathizing with the family of Jerbiah Paul, the child who is involved in this whole investigation. And what saddens me is one of us was involved in this case, and he has been arrested and charged and is now on remand at the state prison. With that said, I think there is some positiveness in that. Notwithstanding that he was one of us, we investigated him and we found the evidence, and then he is charged and is presently on remand at the state prison. So we are not selective in who we investigate, and so one of us, but we find the effort and the investigative method to get him charged and remand him at the state prison. As it is, I say nothing more about that. Let me just pay homage to the investigative team, Chaucer James, Inspector Chaucer James, Sergeant Yankee, Corporal Liebler, who is absent, but he has played a tremendous role in the investigation in this matter. Let me pay homage to them. Similarly, let me pay homage to the fire and ambulance service, especially when we were involved in the retrieving of the remains. They were highly professional, and these guys are highly skilled, and I have the tremendous respect for them. The fire ambulance service with their search and rescue team. So obviously, I cannot say much about this case and the investigation, so I will pause now. Thank you very much.
All right, so we now invite the press to interact with us in any way that you think fit, bearing in mind that this is an ongoing investigation and there are certain things we aren't able to tell you. Oh, Kewana, I recognize you.
Good morning, everyone. My question is to the table, whoever can answer this question. There has been some significant concern from the public in regards to the 72-hour period in reference to missing persons. Concerns that this is too long. Would you please explain the basis, based on the law, why wait 72 hours instead of less? And do you think that there needs to be a review of that law?
Good morning again. I'm not sure where we got this 72-hour business from. I'm not sure where we got it from. Is it from watching a lot of CSI? There's no time frame. Zero. As long as a report is made for a missing person, we move immediately. There's no waiting period. And I've told the officers already, even if a child goes missing 100 times or 99 times, we go 99 times and 100 times every time. So there's no waiting period by the police to respond to a report of a missing child. I know a lot was said about this matter, but if you look at the facts in the matter and the work that was done, we did not wait 3 days before we responded. As a matter of fact, in short order, I led a team to Portsmouth to meet with the first set of investigators to ensure that work was being done when I heard this. And when I found out that this is not true at all. This is not true. So there's no waiting period, as I say, just to reiterate, about the 72 hours or 48 hours. And I heard this on social media, but this is CSI. On TV, you've seen that. TV.
So what does our law state in reference to?
There's no period. No. As long as a report is made, we investigate the matter. Granted, every report of a missing person will not be the same. It will take the same energy, same effort, but different strategies, different tactics. You may have to search bushes, you may have to search, in that case, we search, yes, or we do other searches behind the scenes. Again? Yeah. But clearly, say from day one, again, the minister would have said that, We assembled a team of investigators, and as it became more apparent to us, I didn't say that initially, as it became more apparent to us, it's likely that one of us could have been involved, we upped the game. We augmented the team to that of Deputy Chief of Police and head of the CID, along with the whole team. We didn't put him aside. So Mr. Yankee was still on board, and all the other officers that were still on board, but we upped the game as to ensure that justice is done and that we had it at the highest level in the force. So sure there's no cover-up, nothing to hide. And everybody, and I said before, everybody, anybody going forward, because this is an ongoing investigations. Again, you'll hear. I don't need to disclose anything more today. You'll hear. And you'll see certain action being taken. Anybody who had a hand to this in this matter will face the full blunt of the law. And including I'll say, dismissal from the service. Including dismissal, termination from the service. In short order.
Okay, I would like to ask 2 questions, please. What systems are currently in place for responding when a child is reported missing, and does Dominica need a dedicated missing child emergency protocol? And also, will the government consider establishing an Amber Alert type system or another rapid national alert mechanism for missing children?
That question seems to be very similar to what Ms. Wilson asked about the time period, and whether we have a period to respond. The issue of the Amber Alert, I know that happens in the US, where when a child is reported missing. Again, but because of the size of the country, US, that is, I think, an effective measure. But in Dominica, before a child is reported missing, if it happened in Capuchin, you find out it's considered within half an hour. And we have our own system where we put alerts, we put flyers out on social media, on our page, and other media. And Emonews is very famous in doing that, assisting us. So although we may not have a structured approach like in the US where you have Amber Alert, but I believe what we have here, to alert the public that somebody went missing within short order, I think is good enough. As it relates to what the government intends to do, the minister may want to speak to that, but I believe what we have here now is sufficient to alert people that somebody's missing, report was made yesterday, person was wearing what, and person, the full description of the person, height, clothing, and that sort of thing. So I believe, as I said, what we have is working. What I want to encourage us to, and I think the minister mentioned, is we must stop speculating, stop spreading fake news, and a lot of false information. Because put yourself in the place of a missing child's parent or family. Yes, it's Miss Paul today, and God forbid, it could be anybody tomorrow. So this thing of creating these false pages and this fake news and saying child was found here and child was found in whatever condition, don't do that. Don't do that. It's not nice. And if it were your child, you don't want all this to be said about your child. So we must really step back a bit sometimes, and stop spreading all those false rumors, undermining, as it were, the confidence of the people.
As I said earlier, and I think we need to reiterate that every missing person report is peculiar, right? And let me not say that I don't want to personalize anything there. And you always start with most times somebody goes missing, or something happens, or the person responsible for that person's disappearance. Most times are family members, family friends, people from the communities who know that person very well. Let's just get a fundamentally clear. And then the circumstances will lead the investigation. In that case, as I said, let me just say it again, that there was an inquiry declared for a missing child by the French government in Guadeloupe, because the initial SIPS is a police word. All right. God was the child, so learn that, I suppose what that means. SIPS. That the missing child was in Guadeloupe. And there were indications, because of so many people getting involved and trying to throw the police off, that one stage she was in Guadeloupe. And then in St. Lucia, because you also got assistance for the St. Lucia law enforcement officials. So you have different circumstances. And then we have a protocol between the police, fire, forestry. Let us not forget forestry. Something. Within this fire department, we are broadening, bringing in more men in a specialized search and rescue unit. So, you guys are well trained. Let me tell you something. What I issue did not say. Why would not want to talk about the sins of crime, the sin of the crime? The fire officers have been nominated. These guys are not easy, you know. They're not easy, you know. Because why that body was recovered there, nobody would have gone there under normal circumstances. And the guys used ropes upon ropes upon ropes. And Chief, express my gratitude on behalf of the government to the fire officers. Ropes and ropes. It was difficult to get the sins of crime people to go there. Ropes. And that is why one of the fire chief always makes his request for his rope. And I'm meeting the fire officers, and the student tell me that they need more ropes. I said, what do they need more ropes? They say, search and rescue. You understand? And that's how important. And specialized boots, etc. And the guys and them did that. And in quick time, in less than an hour yesterday morning, they were able to identify the body and to actually extract the body. And that we cannot leave unnoticed. So yes, let us talk about what we do well and what we need to do to strengthen our processes. Thank you very much.
So we have the family stated that the current suspect, they informed the police that he is a suspect from the very beginning. Can you inform us why it took 2 weeks for the police to apprehend this individual if the information was already laid out? Another question that I have is, given that the accused is a police officer, we understand that the public will have some level of mistrust in the police system. What safeguards are you putting in place to ensure that there is no conflict of interest and that the investigation is allowed to be proceed independently? Now, we also have this matter where the Miss Wall, she was just 16 years old. Of course, age doesn't matter in this circumstance. It can happen to anyone at any age. But the present law, as it pertains to the age of consent, being 16 years old, there has long been calls for that to be increased. Is that something that the Ministry of National Security and the government of Dominica is now thinking of changing the laws as it pertains to the age of consent?
I'll answer your last question first. I'll answer your last question. I'm telling you now. I'll answer your last question first, and the chief will answer the. It took, as I said this a while ago, and some people may have felt that I spoke for too long, but it's important to qualify things. There's a nexus, eh? As I said, one of the things that we did, and we took licks for that, while we're in Parliament, passing that piece of legislation, making the amendments to the Sexual Offences Act, priests and pastors were calling me and telling me, we might, you know. Because a man cannot say, a wife cannot say no to his wife if he wants sex. I said, I'm serious. I will not call her names. That's what happened, you know. That's the government did that, you know. The government did that. So why are we talking about the age of consent, which is 16 right now? We need to talk about the age where a child cannot say yes legally and not been reported. 14, 13, 15 years, you know what I'm saying? So yes, there were a number of recommendations put forward to us at the time, and within 90% of them, including a sexual offenders registry. That is something I think we must bring back to the table. So I'm just saying, yes, the age of 16 is consent. But what about 12, 10, 13, 14, 15? When you have parents and guardians preventing the children from testifying, and when is the donees? Who are the culprits? The donees. Who are the culprit? The child's stepfather. They're not reporting it. You understand what I'm saying? So let us not talk about what the age should be. The age is 16 or below 16. You can consent as 16. And I am jumping into the idea of anything that can bring further protection to the minor. What I'm saying is that we must confront the hypocrisy surrounding the whole issue of sexual offenses. You know what I'm saying? Because we have a situation, I just said this morning, we have a mother writing to the DPP saying that she doesn't want a child to testify in a case where the child is below 16. She can't say yes. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And the issue about public trust. We recently established or created a new position of Assistant Commissioner of Police for Administration and Training. And one of the justification for that position was to relook and reimagine the administration of the police force, because everything centers around administration, and to bring back the Internal Affairs Department, where you can identify officers with potential problems and call them in, you know what I'm saying? And to speak with them before graduating into something. You understand? We had it in my days, along with Superintendent Locke, Alexander, who's still alive, and myself. But it fell through when we left the police force. We were trained by the Canadians. So these are things we're going to bring back. But what we're seeing happening now, my good friend from Maho, we're from the same area, both of you guys, Picati, is a manifestation and demonstration that the police are impartial. Because it's not the first time that they have charged and brought before the court of their very own. And the quickness in which that was done, I think that is the story, that is the highlight that should emerge from the sad and diabolical situation. You get my point? And I think we should not underestimate that. And as you heard from the Deputy Commissioner of Police, one person has been charged already, and there's possibly going to be more. I think let us judge the police for what they have done. And I'm endlessly proud of the police force. I will die supporting the police when they're right. When they're right, but because my mantra is law and order, to preserve the rule of law and the civility of society.
Just to address the first part of your three-part question. I think you missed it in the last two parts. I met with the family on the Friday, the 30th, in Portsmouth. On the Thursday before that, I was at Portsmouth where I met with the investigators, the first set of investigators. But when you're doing investigations, you have to be very tactful, very careful. Although when I met with the family, we did not reveal to them anything in terms of investigations. We heard from them. We gave them the confidence and the assurance. I will go after whichever person is responsible. And we followed, as I said, many leads. including the fake leads that wasted our time. People created fake Snapchat accounts and thrown us here and everywhere, almost like a decoy. But we were intent and focused. And from the day, as I said, from the day we recognized that one of our own could have been, we're not sure, could have been, we ramped up the team, we augmented the team. So yes, even when we met with the family, we had a faint idea at the time that it's possible that a police officer could have been involved. But we can't tell that to the family. It's too early. Lest the family hears this and goes and spread out. So we kept it within a very small circle. Very, very small circle. The minister was aware. Would have advised him. I said something 3 times a day, 4 times a day. All after 10, after 11 at night, my phone ringing. Sometimes I miss the call. I call first time I see it. But when you investigate the matters, you have to be very, very tactful. Very, very careful. You get a lot of blows, a lot of criticism, and nothing's happening. But things are happening, and we're working like almost like a swan. Swimming on the pond, but below, we're moving mountains. Because at the end of the day, the objective is to get to the truth, to the bottom of the matter. And not shouting, and screaming, and crying wolf before you see the wolf. Now that we are at a position where someone has been charged, we can tell the family some things, still not everything. I'm saying this is an ongoing investigation. Ongoing. Again, you will hear, maybe tomorrow, or Friday or Monday, you will hear more. But Okada is very good at getting information. I don't know how he does it. Very, very good. Sometimes even before the police know, you know everything. But you hear. But again, the assurance there is that we won't leave any stone unturned until we are satisfied. And anybody who had, as I said, a finger, a hand, a toenail to do with anything about this missing child will be brought to justice. I hope I answered the question that you asked. Thank you.
Our final question before we go, because I see people wrapping up. Yeah. All right. Mr. Commissioner, and to Mr. Blackmore as well. A lot has been said about the recruitment process as it relates to officers, and I see both you and Mr. Blackmore very emotional and vexed as to what happened with your fellow man, the police officer. Is it time, sir, to start, as Mr. Blackmore indicated, it used to happen before, but now it almost appears that my PAREP sent me, and this is a recommendation to join the police force. Are you planning, sir, to begin doing more research in terms of police officers before joining the police? And the second question, with all the energy I see there, is it time to reopen the Kenisha case? What? Kenisha. Thank you.
Okay, on the issue of the recruitment process, it is a very rigorous process. First, you apply. You must meet the basic requirements for application. That is a minimum of 4 CXC subjects, including English or Maths. When that is done, officers from a special branch are sent out to do a background check on you. So they go to your communities, they go on the block, they speak to your principal, they speak to the pastor, they speak to your close friend, because when you apply, there's a preliminary interview that you do, sort of in writing, about 7 or 8 pages, and you're required to put a lot of information on that document. So we use this document, along with others, to do the background check. A lot of people who apply to join the force are disqualified after we do the background check. They may have all the subjects. But when you go on the bank, we sit on the block, we speak to the teachers, we speak to farmers, people who know in the community. They are disqualified. After that is done, we now do a polygraph examination. So everybody who enters the police force you're polygraphed, and you ought to pass, quote unquote, pass the polygraph examination. This issue of my parrot sent me have been said a long time ago, but clearly my parrot didn't send it. We're a very small community, and we know everybody. And this nonsense about we asking people who you voting for, I heard that a couple of times. The long I want to address this nonsense. This is nonsense. I am part of the interview process. The deputy is part of the interview process. The head of administration, and sometimes another or two superintendents of police. This nonsense lying thing must stop. Nobody asks who you're voting for. And if that were the case, look at the records. Look at the composition of the police force. This government has been in power for 25 years. Look at the composition of the police force. We know everybody. And tell me if this thing carries any weight, what my parents sent me. Just look to see. Put your ears on the ground. And find out where people's allegiance is. And see whether or not my parents sent. Would you send somebody that's against you? I don't. So I believe this nonsense has to really stop. It has to stop. But again, Matt, the process is a very detailed process. And after that, you must pass a medical examination. Again, your knee could be hurting you and tell the doctor, I'm fine. And if any time during the process, and if any time during training for up to 2 years, you'll find wanting in the character, or unfit otherwise, the chief of police can terminate your appointment. That's what I said. In the coming days, you will hear a lot of things, including termination, dismissal of some officer. And I make no apologies to that. Because either you're in, that's the song, or you're out. You're either police or not. You can't be what we refer to as switch-on police. When you're at work, you switch on, and then you switch off as soon as you go. No, you must be a police through and through. Throughout, you must be a police. So if you're off duty and you see something happening, you may not charge the person, but you must bring your attention to stop it. Or call and say, well, here it is, I saw, bam, 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 something happening. You can't be in and out, and you're either a police or not a police. So this, as I said, the process of recruiting is a laborious one, very difficult. And we're actually struggling to get people to join the force. We're begging, we've been urging people to join the force. Urging people to join the force. And hopefully in the next couple of months, we should see a new cohort. And I think the minister mentioned it in Parliament. About 61 officers. But we've been asking, we've been begging people, join the police force. Give us 5 years, give us 10 years, give us 15 years, and you can move on. So if you join at 20, and you do 10 years, you get a pension, a gratuity, sorry. So by 30 years, you're a gratuity. If you do 20 years, you're at 40 years, you're a pensioner. And you can move on to something else. Okay, so I'm already hoping that this thing about my private sending me is put behind the doors. And we move on. But as I said, look at the composition of the force. Look at it. And we know everybody in the force. Thank you.
Let me ask another question, please.
Okay, we have to, I'll be the last question, right? Because, right, so let me just say, Matt, that irrespective of the processes, the recruiting processes that one may have to go through, people adopt ways and practices. That's why we believe that a specialized department within the police force, like Internal Affairs, for continued monitoring of the personnel is critical. And that is what I think we have to persist on. Let me just say, why we talk about power reps, and the chief can attest to that. There are a number of people, when the friends did not pass the polygraph test, getting back to the minister, said about give them a chance. You have heard that? A lot of people. And I'm just saying that we have to also understand that we live in a very small, homogeneous country. Communities are homogeneous, everybody knows each other. So the police might go and ask questions, that person Bope, that person Nenen, that person might not get the police the true background of that person, wanting the person to join the police force. And that's why I believe the processes and specialized department within the police force to monitor people's social behavior is critical. What we're doing also, we are bringing in a psychologist, a doctor. And we have a discussion with one of these professionals, because officers, because of the nature of the job, we develop stress and a number of issues, etc. So it's important to have someone you can talk to. You might not want to talk to the chief of police, but you may want to talk to a professional. And that's why I believe a human resource department, personal department, is critical within the police force, and that's what we're aiming to within the position that we have created. On the issue of Commissioner Alexander, let me just say to you that I was a member of parliament then. I know the young lady, and I knew the stepfather. The stepfather prayed cricket together with me. He was a pastor. Now, there was an investigation. The investigation is still open. If the police get any new leads, they're going to pursue it. At the conclusion of the initial investigation, I received a comprehensive report from the then Commissioner of Police, Mr. Daniel Carbon, one of the best investigators in the Caribbean. And he gave the slant. And what I can say, he was of the informed view, looking at the circumstances, that the body was disposed of, possibly buried somewhere. And the difference is, I don't want to really take it that matter there. In that case there was a lead for the police, there was a track with remains of the child's clothing, etc., leading the police to specific areas, etc. Right? Now, it was not a situation where you had devices or the suspect who accidentally died. It was not the intention of the officer. From what I was advised, it was always the intention to get somebody who can give you information, possible information, as to the whereabouts of the child. You know what I'm saying? That happened. But with different circumstances altogether, and the case is open from what I've seen in the report that was sent to me. The police got any leads, the police dogs sitting areas, even manholes, all kind of stuff the police did. But the informed conclusion of the chief of police then, who I have the utmost respect for, a very good investigator, was the best at this time in the police force. His conclusion, based on the facts, that the child possibly was disposed of either by burial or something, etc. All right? That's all I have to say.
Can I ask one more?
One more question?
One more, yeah. Last question.
Okay, that's the last
Last
question.
question, yes. Last question.
Okay, 3 more, that's it. 3 more, that's it.
Oh, okay, I know it's an extremely difficult time for the family. Just wanted to know if some support is being provided for them in terms of counseling. That's my question.
Yes, certainly. One of the things that the government has done, and I said there's a nexus, There's a nexus. We recently, a couple years ago, enacted into Parliament a suite of family legislation. The PS knows about it. She serves as the secretary of the subcommittee, ministerial subcommittee, which I chair. All right? And then, in one of those pieces of legislation I just referenced, a whole new infrastructure was established. A director of social services. Do you understand what I'm saying? And in the social services, you have counselors. And any abuse reported where, within a home that the guidance or the parents may not have the competence, systems are provided to have that child in the foster care. You know what I'm saying? And then the attendant counseling that may be required. So the question is yes. What I think we need to go beyond what we're talking about is for people who know in the community or the loved ones of a child friend to report those matters and to ensure. In terms of the family, of course, there's going to be need for counseling. And you have a number of counselors within the social services because of department, and that is something I myself spoke to the mother, and so so that is something, of course, the government is actually making to make available to the family.
Yes, earlier I heard that in reference to the accused, well, he was mentioned as one of us. Is it possible to give a little bit more description or is about the accused, in that he was brought to, he will be charged. He was charged this morning. Can more description be given about the accused? His name, where he's from?
Okay, just to give a little more update, without causing any prejudice to the case. So he is from Portsmouth. He's 24 years old, 23 years old, so 23 years old from Portsmouth. He's a probationer, meaning that he has less than 2 years service. That's it for you, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right.
Just one last question. Would the police be able to inform if there are any other suspects in custody at this time, aiding with the investigation? Because you did mention certain things earlier, even dismissals from the force. Are there any other people in custody at this time?
What I want to say, Mr. Tip, is that the matter is an ongoing investigations. And I don't want to cause any injury to this matter. Because our goal here is to ensure that we get down to the full truth, the bottom of this matter. And anybody that said that had anything to do with the matter would be brought to justice. So whether we have any suspect in custody or not, to me, I won't mention that. I say in the days coming, tomorrow or Monday or whatever day, you will hear more. You'll hear more. But I just want to give you public assurance before I leave that we will do all in our power, everything in our power, to ensure justice is done in this case. And just to send out one final word, people say something I'm harsh, but one final word. I've said it many, many times to the officers in our meeting, even when I meet them one-on-one. I do not expect to go out there and commit any criminal activity. None whatsoever, and expect comfort among the ranks. Do not go out there and commit any criminal activity and expect comfort among the ranks. You'll be treated as a pariah, an outcast. We'll drop all links, all ties with you. All ties, all links with you. I'll pass it straight. So don't go out there and commit crimes, murder people and kill people and whatever, and expect to get comfort among the ranks. You will not get it. And anybody brought to my attention that seem to be kissing up or comforting or aiding support to any one of those officers will have to answer. They'll answer. We must answer, because at the end of the day, we have a duty to be professional, to ensure that the public and citizenry get the best service from us. And no one will be allowed to tarnish the name of the organization. You will face the full-blown, full force of the law. And I make no apologies for saying that, none whatsoever. So go out there and do what you want. As I always say, you go to a battle, you go to a war, and you get shot, shut up. You go to fight, you get shot, take your blows and shut up. You go out there and form full, we'll bring everybody, including partners from wherever in the world, to ensure that justice is done. And it's not the first time, as the minister said. Not the first time. We have other examples where we seek assistance from overseas to ensure that accountability, fairness, openness, impartiality
especially when there's an officer involved. And we have had examples where we have investigated officers, they have gone to jail, self-time. So I will leave it at that, but expect no comfort whatsoever, none from me or the hierarchy of the force, or the rank and file of the force. And when you go out there and form the fool, I expect, no, I will pass you like a buenas. Thank you.
Again, that's a very long press conference and a lot of viewers there. Let me just say again, we mustn't only address the symptoms, but we have a broader societal problem of responsibility. And at a number of public events, you have minors being allowed to go to adult events, improperly dressed, 15-year-old, 14-year-old. Let us talk about that too. And we're exposing our children to those kind of possibilities where evil folks, malfeiters, understand? Understand? Can prey on them. Let's address that too. And then we blame the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security. Why can't we just play a role? We have passed the laws, we have put systems in place. It's up to us now to play our part. You know what I'm saying? I love breakfast, but I did not go, but I wanted to go, you know. I'm out of it. Because of that event, I felt, because, and you had minors. Where are the adults? Where are the parents? You get my point? The same people carnival, open up carnival. Mothers one way, and fathers, and 13 and 14-year-olds the other way. You sell alcohol, and that's against the law, police chief. Let's enforce the laws of the country. Let's be serious about it. Let us stop hiding each other. And at the last point I want to make, and I have said that before, it is us, the Labour Party administration, who passed a Bail Act, Matt. And demarcated offences for which bail should not be granted unless certain things can be proven by the accused, not the state. And that's why I'm saying, when you have a situation whereby fellas abusing allegedly, 8-year-old, 8 years, not 21 years or 40 years, 8 years, 6 years, and then they're given station bail, and then the magistrate want to come to police station at midnight and bail these people, and then you send in a fellow who stole. Let's be serious about it. You're sending a fellow who stole a tin of convict to 6 months imprisonment. You get my point? So what are we doing? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So that's why people do not like Mr. Blackmore sometimes. But I'm comfortable with my conscience and my family. Because I know how, I don't want to say more because I'm the minister. So I'm not saying, why can't we just play our roles? All this thing add up. And then we call our children wayward. When we are the met wayward individuals, not only wayward, mission stay. Sorry about that.
Okay, there are no more questions. I will call this press conference to a close. I want to thank everybody again who showed up. I see we have quite a full contingent of the press. Honorable Minister, Chief, and your men, Chief of Fire, I want to give you my thanks as well. And at the end of it, let us not forget that there is a family out there grieving and hurting, and the focus should be on bringing justice to the perpetrators instead of satisfying our need for gossip or spreading news at this time. So let us bring everything back to focus. There is now a family whose hopes and dreams for their 16-year-old daughter has been dashed, and we need to remain sensitive of that fact. Have a good day, everybody.
I just wanted us to maybe stand for a moment of silence And before I do that, I wanted also to say and to commend the police again and customs. You may recall that in 2021, I think, Chief, a number of firearms, ammunitions were actually intercepted at the port. And then my good friend Matt and others were saying, asking for the guns. The barrels of guns were actually confiscated at the port, as if to say that the police and the custom officers had the guns, either they sold them or they're missing. There are certain things the minister cannot say, and the police can't say. There was ongoing collaboration and investigation between the law enforcement agencies in Dominica and the U.S. They came to Dominica several times, but it's been the Attorney General, the police, the customs. And today, I'm pleased to announce that that collaboration has worked. We were able to trace the origin of these firearms from Orlando, I think. And that person, there was a trial in Connecticut, and that person has been convicted and will be sentenced to a place where he belongs, and that is jail. So I want to commend the police, and I did send Matt that notification, but they're not going to talk about it on the radio. They're not going to talk about it. Understand? So this government is working, and we have systems in place. We also have, actually, the Criminal Investigation Department, integrated ballistic identification system, sponsored by for the instrumentality of impacts on the U.S. We have trained personnel within the CID department. We have 21 police officers trained to trace the origin of firearms, etc. That have proved evidence. Okay? We have 4 officers, and we have to make sure we do the background check. Officers with chemistry, maths, and physics. We'll be going to Trinidad to specialize in forensics and for a period of time. So we're heading places and to ensure that we equip the police force with the tools and the human resources they need to fight contemporary crimes. Thank you very much. Let us take a minute of silence for the family and his innocent child. Thank you very much. God bless.
We thank you for joining us this morning.